Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers! Welcome to the amazing finale after show of The Mindy Project, Season 3, Episode 21, titled Best Man. I'm your host, Sam Davidson. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. If you haven't done so already, please go on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, rate, review, subscribe. I have some awesome co-hosts here with me tonight. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Nicholas Grava, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Nicholas Grava.
Hey guys, I'm Sterling Cates, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Cates.
So lyrical.
None of them.
Hey y'all, I'm April Whisenhant. You can find me on Twitter at April Whisenhant.
Yes, and you can find me on Twitter at SamD43 if you guys want to chat with us tonight during the show. There's a lot to talk about. Just overall thoughts for a finale. What did you guys think?
What a finale.
Yeah.
Loved it. I especially love Laura Dern.
Yes.
Oh, she was
that was
great.
such a fun surprise. They've had so many guests, really great guests this season, and her coming on the finale was awesome.
Yeah.
More than just, obviously I loved the episode and everything that happened in it, but I loved the references to pop culture in this. Like the Bachelor reference and the Empire reference, and then Laura Dern and the Ryan Murphy. We got a lot of Ryan Murphy in this episode, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's awesome too, that they keep it so relevant with everything that's going on right now, and it's not taped like a year ago or whatever.
Yeah. I think also it's starting to feel in a way like a much more intimate show, and it never felt like this before, but I definitely feel like we're starting to see complete characters, and especially the ending with Dan. I mean, we'll talk about that, but I definitely feel a different vibe from the show, and I love it so
Yeah,
far.
and it's not just funny.
Yeah.
It's like sad a little bit. April got some sad chills.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh,
just
the
like
sad
sometimes
chills.
we cry,
Yeah.
but we laugh a lot. So it's a really well-rounded show now.
Danny definitely got to exercise his dramatic skills this evening, I think. But let's start off with talking about Peter. And we were talking about this before the show started. You know, Adam Polly, we thought wasn't going to be on the show anymore. Like,
Or as much.
you know. And he was Skyping in at first, and then it was due to scheduling issues for his new project. But he was on it a lot. I just was expecting him to disappear, and I was really disappointed. But he didn't.
Yeah. You know, he entered in with a head full of grease tonight.
His hair is so terrible now.
No offense, like, of course we all love him, but no.
That was some dirty hair we saw.
Dirty hair.
Yeah. Well, on one hand, they do need to, since it's the end of season 3, they need to wrap him up a little bit, and I think this wedding probably will be the end of his character for sure. But we talked a lot about this when he first was leaving, about whether or not we wanted him to, you know, have these little guest appearances, or if we just wanted him to kind of like move to Texas and we never see him again. And it's kind of like, you know, just we want to know what's happening with him, or we don't. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, it's not a very like deep storyline when we're just seeing him on Skype for 30 seconds.
I think they had developed the relationship and friendship between him and Mindy so much that you can't just like do away with it, of course. And it's something that audiences and all of us really responded to, because she kind of, you know, we've seen her best friends on the show before, but she and Peter have had like a funny, really good relationship. I mean, he's her gynecologist. Yeah. She wants him to still be her gynecologist, even when he's in Texas. So I love the fact that they're bringing him back, and especially he's choosing her to be his best man.
Yeah, I think that was a really smart choice, and it made sense that he would choose her as his best man.
I agree, and I kind of hate it when writers of a TV show just write someone off because their contract ends or something happens on set, and it's weird, and it's as though that character just disappeared. But I really like that they kind of kept with this character and what would make sense to follow through. So Peter comes back and was like, surprise, you know, I'm choosing my best man. And he chooses Mindy.
Because
not Morgan.
Pubes couldn't.
Not Morgan.
Yeah,
Pubes. Oh, yeah, his roommate, Pubes.
He made a move on him.
Which there were some mixed signals going on with him and Pubes.
Yeah, and it was kind of rude. He, like, didn't invite anyone to his bachelor party. What
Yeah,
else?
and Morgan was like, "Oh, are you inviting us to the bachelor party?" And he said, "It happened. It already
That
happened.
was last
Sorry."
night,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
no.
So clearly, I mean, it's like, okay, I guess they're not that important to you. But he chooses Mindy, which is funny, and Morgan is upset, you know, because he always wants to be it.
Wants to be part of everything.
I know. My favorite line is when he said, "As someone who just got their first invitation to an event, I think you're making a big mistake."
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
true though. I feel like he does just show up places
Yeah.
and never is actually invited.
yes. So this is a very big deal for
Like
him.
the baby shower when he walks in. And she's like, "Oh, Morgan, welcome. Hi. Nice to see you."
It's
Cool.
happened so many times, I feel like, throughout the show. Like, oh, hello, Morgan. I didn't know you were coming.
Yeah.
And he's just always there. But we find out that Jeremy isn't planning to go to the wedding because of obvious reasons.
Not surprised by that. Yeah.
No. And of course, Morgan calls him out, and he's like, "You're taking a gift wrapping class. You're not busy."
Yeah, you have some time.
He's like, "My plants are getting in a new pot and they need to be watched over."
Exactly.
Yes. What did he say? Succulents?
Yeah, my succulents.
Yes. And they need water like once every 3 weeks.
You just like
A lot
spritz
of
them
work.
with a little spray thing too.
Oh, is that you just?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
with it?
recently looked into it.
Yes. I've
Show
had them.
/ gardening show.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we find out that Jeremy doesn't want to come, and, you know, Peter's upset, which I guess he should be. Peter also mentions very quickly about a prenuptial
Yes,
agreement.
Oh, yeah.
That's Lauren's.
Yes.
So
Signed
he was like,
hers.
"I signed her prenup."
Yeah.
Good.
So have we talked about her being rich? I don't know. I don't
I
remember.
think so. She's a brain surgeon, so
Yeah, I
comes
suppose
with the
so.
territory, I guess.
It's
Okay.
assumed, yeah.
Well, there's some drama going on with that storyline. Then we're jumping to Mindy's storyline, which is her finally introducing Danny to her parents in Boston.
Which I was so excited to meet her parents.
Me too. I think we talked about it last week, or
Yeah.
I forget when, but we've never
In our
seen her
predictions.
parents before. We've only, she's talked about them, and we've met Rishi, obviously, but I was really excited to meet them.
I would love to see if Mindy and Rishi are the products. I would love to see, who was making these people. 'cause they're
Who's making
amazing.
these people.
They are amazing. I love them.
Yeah, I mean, I still really want to know who's being cast because we'll get to that at the end of the episode, but hopefully we're going to be seeing them next season when it gets picked up. Knock on wood, I'm knocking on my head, everybody. So basically, she has Danny come to this whole thing, or invites him to come to this whole thing, and he bails. He has a procedure to do. He just clearly isn't. You can tell by the way he's talking to her. It's not a priority.
I think he knew from the beginning he wasn't going to be making it. I don't think there was ever a time that he was thinking he was going.
No. Well, you see him, looking at the clock, not looking at it like, oh my gosh, I have to
Yeah.
go, but looking like, okay, what's a decent amount of time for it to be too late?
To be
for
last
me
minute, to
call?
be like, I can't catch a plane. I usually get pulled out for security,
Yeah, I just didn't love that about Danny. Like you want him to be there,
Yeah.
with bells and whistles on, but he just is obviously so afraid of that commitment, which we know, of course, is because he's been through a divorce before and doesn't want to experience that same thing with Mindy. But at the same time, she obviously wants marriage. She wants this huge commitment, blah, blah, blah. And especially if she's pregnant with your child, I feel like you need to get rid of that fear and just, be there. That's so important. And meeting her parents for the first time, I mean, you've already skipped a few steps here by having a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's so important, especially they're going to be gone for a year.
Right.
So the baby's going to be here by the time they get back.
Yeah, it's just really inconsiderate because she has jumped through hoops for his family and his friends.
And dealing with Annette, especially.
Dealing with Annette, meeting his, priest and it was priest.
Right, she goes through a lot for him. You would think the least he could do would to go. And I
Oh
still
my gosh,
think
I didn't think about that until just now.
He doesn't really ever make any sacrifices for her. So I was like, come on, Danny.
But I do feel like it's kind of
Man up.
it's against his his usual character, I think, to do something like this. I usually would think that he's like the type of guy that's like, Mindy, we got to get it done. That's it. This is the right thing to do. So I was surprised because of that. But I guess this is the first time we see that side of him, which
Yeah.
Don't you
didn't
think he
like.
would want their approval more than anything else? You know what I mean?
I think he'd want family because family's so important to him.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of goes into deeper to what you were saying, that he, you know, it's becoming more of like an emotional or deeper show, and obviously this is kind of like showing us his other issues. You know, we've seen the issues with his divorce, and we've seen the issues with his dad. First of all, screw you, Danny's dad, because you totally messed him up.
That scene when oh my god,
that's when I think I got the sad chills. But when he's talking about, clearly he has issues over his dad leaving, and he's like, you know, I've been through this, you've been through this. Whenever he's talking to his mom, you know, I don't want that to happen with Mindy, and then for me to leave my son alone like I was. So I think that he's so worried about that he's letting, you know, it affect meeting Mindy's parents, and it being like, oh, well, should I meet them or not?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's all part of it becoming a deeper, not just such like a rom-com type show.
But we all have our shtick. Like, everyone has their problems. I come from a divorced family. Probably someone else at this table. Yeah. Like, the majority of this table has, you know, I don't really plan on, I mean, if I were a guy and I knocked someone up in like a few years, and I wouldn't like, I'm just trying to put myself in Danny's shoes from a divorced parent, you know, family, and I wouldn't not want him. I mean, that's just, I hate it when people are like, oh, I come from a broken family.
But I think it's his past experience, his own past experience too, that's also playing into it. Do you know what I mean? I think
like
that
his
has
marriage as well. I mean, it makes sense if you've seen, you know, your mom have a, you know, not so great marriage, and then she ends up hating him, and then he experienced the same thing himself. So it's like it's a trend for him personally. It's not like, it's definitely not a universal thing that you can say, because even though the majority of us here at this table do come from divorced families, like, I'm sure each one of our experiences is completely different than the other.
And I agree with what you're saying, dude. It is like a,
it's not an excuse,
so many people say like, oh, it's because of this or because of this, and it's like, no, everyone does have their own shtick. Like, just because this happens to you doesn't mean that's a guarantee. I think it's just Danny and the way that he's been affected in his mind.
He's cynical, as his ma will tell him.
It was funny when he said, no, I'm completely fine, Mommy. Oh, God.
It's like, oh, no. Danny, you're not, man. You're not.
I was like, Norman Bates, please stop. You're freaking me out. I know, first time I heard him call him that. Well, so basically, let's go to Mindy really quick. Sorry, I'm slowly sinking, and this happens.
In the chair?
Yeah. I always get the sinky chair.
Sit up really
or maybe it's me. I don't know. I hope not.
Mine was sinking earlier. I had to like push up a few times.
So excuse me while I reach down here. Anyways, I know that did not sound good, guys. I was just reaching for the chair if you're listening. We find out that Mindy never told her parents that Danny existed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sam is like slowly getting like under the table.
I'm going down fast. Just give me a second. Okay, someone take over.
Let me tell you something. I was really surprised. Well, actually, no, I can't. I was surprised, but I shouldn't have been, because it's Mindy, and I guess that shouldn't surprise me. But the fact that she was so adamant about him coming to Boston surprised me, because wouldn't you be terrified, and wouldn't you kind of, if you've been pushing it off for this long, and then finally he's like, yeah, maybe I can't make it, like, wouldn't you just jump up and be like, yeah, you're right, it might be too late. Like, it gives you an out.
I think she wanted, like, I think she was excited because she's like, okay, this is the time, this is like a big step for us. But I'm kind of the same way. She just seemed almost too excited and too happy. Yeah. And I'm like, now that we know that she hadn't told him or told her parents about Danny, she had just told them that it was a random boyfriend or whatever. I'm like, that's a nerve-wracking moment. And she didn't seem nervous. She just seemed very excited.
Yeah, well, I think she's also had so much like problems with Danny committing and, you know, wanting to move in together, wanting to get married, or making these steps in their relationship. So of course she was kind of like nervous to tell her parents in the first place, but then finally he's like, okay, I'm gonna come to Boston, I'm gonna bring a nonfiction book, I'm gonna do all of this stuff. She's like, great, they can finally meet this man that I love, and then he like doesn't come.
So she finally, you're saying like she finally built up the courage to get
I think she was finally like, wow, Danny's like ready to commit, we're gonna do this, and this is gonna be awesome, and like they're gonna know that we're having a kid together. And I think that's how all of that excitement about finally being able to tell her family, who are so important to her, this huge thing in her life. And then he's like, oh, I can't make the train tonight, like blah blah blah. Yeah. Like, it's just another sign that he's not ready. He like has all these commitment issues. And I feel bad for her because she does so much.
Back to when she said like 8 months ago he was arguing about me keeping a toothbrush.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that
I think it all comes back to his commitment issues.
As a commitment for myself.
Oh, me too.
I say props to Danny. I mean, he could have handled the not going to Boston situation differently for sure, but I also kind of think props to him for not just doing the easy thing and doing what people think you should, and especially as a devout Catholic, what, you know, your religion and your church thinks that you should. And, you know, because so many people don't say it and they just do it because they do love the person, and if he's not ready, then he's not ready.
Oh, come
I know.
No, I honestly, like, a lot of people may not agree with me, but I think, like, when they had the conversation at his house, and he was like, listen, I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, I love you. I'm just not ready. And he was kind of breaking it down. I was like, this honest conversation compared to someone that just does it and feels like, oh my God, I can't have that open dialogue.
Right.
That's a healthier thing.
Yeah.
Don't you agree with me?
Of course, but there's a baby on the line. There's a baby here, and they accept
The baby's not on the line, though. The baby is there.
Whatever. The baby is on a line, technically, in her stomach. It's like, you know, a fallopian tube.
I also feel like when it comes to something like whether or not you want to get married or whether or not you have kids, at the end of the day, it kind of, in a lot of situations, it doesn't matter how much you love that other person or how much they love you back. If getting married is like something you really want to do, then, and you're with someone who is like adamant about never marrying, that would be the end. Like, that would be something that could end your relationship. Same with, you know, people do get married and then they're, you know, surprisingly never had the conversation about whether they want to have kids, and they're married and they're like, I want to have 5 kids, and the person's like, I hate kids, and then they get divorced. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't matter sometimes how much you love each other.
Love isn't always
it's
enough
like
to
those things you want out of your life. And obviously Mindy is someone who, she does love Danny so much, and she wants the whole world to know, and she wants to get married, and
she
just
wants
because
Instagram to know.
just exactly.
Oh my
and
God. Most relatable line.
Yeah, seriously, you want to like post about it and stuff.
Yeah.
But just because he's been married before and didn't have a successful one doesn't mean he should be afraid to do that again, and doesn't mean he should keep her from being able to experience marriage.
For sure. But I also think it is good that they at least open the dialogue. I don't think, like, just because, you know, when that first comes up in any relationship and you're like, I want this, I don't know if I want this, it's not an end-all be-all right there. And it's better to not just get married because there is a baby, because that's how so many relationships get ruined in the first place, just because of like an obligation type thing. So I think it's important that they opened the dialogue, and then it just has to be okay. I think definitely Danny ultimately does, and I think Mindy can see it. I think that he does want to marry her or be in that type of relationship, but he has these blocks that, you know, we gotta chip away.
I mean, I definitely agree with that, and I think that also at the same time, you can't force him to feel a certain way or force him to be ready to get married just because he quote unquote should, but he also does need to like not be so like, he's like, I want to be with you, but I don't want to get married. But it's like, she wants to get married, so it can't just be all
he needs
about
to be
him.
willing to have the conversation and work through it.
He needs to be able to compromise, and he like he definitely struggles with compromising and sacrificing for other people.
Yeah, and I mean, Mindy, we've talked about this, has grown tremendously this season. This season has basically been about her doing, you know, she started the season off her doing something for herself, which was to do her Stanford program, but at the end of the day, it's been her doing things for other people, whether it's Danny or her baby. And just put yourself in Mindy's shoes, though, to hear that when you're, I mean, how many months pregnant is she? That the man who you're dating, well, I mean, I guess we could figure it out, because she said 8 months ago he didn't want me to leave his toothbrush there, so that kind of gives us like an answer to some of the questions we've been asking about timeline wise. But you know, putting yourself in her shoes, that's a devastating thing to hear. She's clearly pretty far along, and he didn't.
I think it was the expectation. Like it's the expectation that was so, because she was like, you proposed to me as soon as I was told you I was having the baby, so it makes no. And then he said like, I did that because that's what I thought I was supposed to do.
So it's a total shock to her system.
I think that's the big.
Well, that even is like a bigger step.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When he's like, how did he say it? He's like, I was honestly relieved when you said no.
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly what he said.
I know, I'm like, stop talking, just go shave.
Don't shave, baby, don't shave. Well, he looks good either way. whatever.
I know. We love it. Okay, so that kind of gets into Mindy's baby shower, which Danny's mother, Annette, throws for her, which is so, so nice. Like, their relationship has really developed beautifully, I think.
Yeah.
Betsy gets her edible underwear. She says, you still gotta look good. You know your mom.
That's
Still
true.
one of my favorites.
Beverly is
on
the
show.
greatest.
Yeah.
She really is.
I follow her on Instagram, actually. She
She
only
has a gram. Oh my god. I
Yeah,
didn't
she
know
only
that.
has like 2,000 some followers, and I was like,
Never.
heck yes, I follow her. I like her photos. She's
I haven't lived.
yeah, she's a bit of a weirdo. I love it. So you know, we have this lovely baby shower for her where all of the co-workers are there, basically, including Morgan, like we said. She gets some gifts, and then Danny finds out, basically, in a very funny way, that Mindy didn't
The bomb is going to be dropped. When that computer comes in the room, I mean, my heart sunk for her. I was like, oh man, this is not the time or place.
Yeah. Do you
for
think
this.
Annette was really going to do it?
Yeah. Oh,
they
yeah.
were about to
Absolutely.
answer.
I don't think she had any idea that there was anything to hide. She thought she was doing a completely good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, what did she tell Mindy's parents, though? Or what did Mindy's brother
Well, I
tell
think
Mindy's parents?
I think Rishi set it up. So
Rishi knows.
Yeah.
And maybe Rishi doesn't know that they don't know or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they've...
I feel like it was a very innocent thing that was about to just
Yeah.
blow up the whole situation.
Yeah, and I think now that Mindy is carrying Annette's grandchild, she holds her on far higher of a pedestal than she did.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't hold her on a pedestal at all before. Now she actually does, and she respects her and cares about her.
I loved seeing that transition since I think it was when she like ran out to get Mindy when they had the conversation.
Yeah,
at dinner
after
table,
she had to like
ran
beat
out.
up the eels.
Yeah,
in the
and I said,
bathtub.
and from that, like, I love their dynamic and their relationship. I love how she changed for her. I just,
too.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Mindy really, like, worked for that. It was difficult. And she could have just given up and been like, Danny, your mom's, like, just a douchebag.
Which is a testament to Mindy and how she, like we were saying, like, she tries for everyone. That she knows that's important for Danny, but it's also important to her. So that's the type of person she is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just want to see more of that from Danny.
We are about to. Hence the last 5-10 minutes of the
Exactly.
episode.
We saw
Come
some
on.
major stuff.
Watch him like show up at the wrong apartment.
I know you said that. I wasn't
I think
thinking
Sam
about
said
it
that.
until. Oh, did you say
Yeah,
that?
well,
I
we
was
don't
like,
know, you know, exactly what's going to happen. Before we get into that, which there's so much you can do, let's talk about Peter's wedding briefly because Mindy can't go because she's
And the
pregnant.
ex-boyfriends.
Oh my
yeah.
God,
I love
that's right.
seeing
I
them
wrote
at the
down
baby
all of the
shower.
names. I'm sorry.
The Manhattan meat train. Is
Josh, Casey, Eric,
Lee.
and Lee, and then I thought I heard a Jamie.
Wait,
but-
Jamie is BJ Novak. BJ Novak is his real name.
Yeah.
His character.
So Josh, Jamie, Casey. Was there 5 of them?
No,
No,
he
I don't
messed
know,
up the
Eric.
name.
Let's just call Schmidt Schmidt.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said Morgan called him Eric, but he's like, it's Lee.
Yeah.
It's Lee.
Yes. Okay. Okay. That's where it's okay. So there's 4 of them. We got really nice throwback there to all of Mindy's loves. Morgan brought them to the baby shower because he overheard Mindy telling Peter that her parents thought Danny didn't exist and it was some random guy, and he just heard that as that's what
The
baby
audacity
was.
on him to
Yeah,
pull that
Morgan,
together.
what the hell?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like, was he doing it with Mindy's best intentions of being like, "Oh, the truth needs to come out for you," or was he doing it to like shame her on like, "This is the truth"? Because usually he's on her team. It's him and Mindy all the time.
Maybe a little of both, but I love how he's like, I spent thousands of dollars to get the Manhattan meat train here together. Or no, he said, he's like, of your boyfriends who were the most attractive
Yeah,
or something
the
like
4
that.
most
to me.
attractive that I picked.
Yeah, I loved all of them coming back, especially, is it Jamie? Is he the one that was the minister?
That's Casey.
Casey.
I love him, and I love his like, I was blind with little kicks,
Yeah.
with little
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah, he was like, I know it's been a minute since I've been up. And then I was like, oh no. So there's like obviously no way any of these guys could be the father, like timeline wise.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense.
April's a huge Danny fan. I'm not saying that I'm not a Danny fan, but I also cared for a lot of her other boyfriends as
Actually,
well.
I'm definitely a huge Danny fan, and they kind of have been developing it for a while. How it's like, okay, they're probably meant to be, but I loved Casey, Pastor Casey. He was my
He
favorite
got on my
boyfriend.
nerves.
Oh, I
and
loved
was
him.
not like, I don't not like him, but I was just like, okay, bro, let's move it on.
I mean, I think
Move along.
he's definitely the most serious. I mean, they were engaged.
Yeah.
She went to Haiti with him. She cut her hair.
Oh,
for him.
That was a
man,
big
the
deal.
haircut.
Yeah, that feels like so long ago now.
Yeah.
It just
I know.
come so far with Mindy.
Wow.
Now she's pregnant.
On this journey with you,
Jeez,
man. Come
wow.
on.
We really
I
are.
know. Good for her, though. Good for Mindy. Okay, so at Peter's wedding, we find out that Jeremy decides to step it up.
So surprised by that.
And not only does he come to the wedding, but
He's the best man.
he is the best man, not Morgan.
Because Mindy couldn't go because she has preeclampsia, which is some serious stuff.
Do you know
Is
what
it?
that
I didn't
is?
know what that was.
It has to do with your blood pressure and some, female organ stuff going on down there. Basically, it can put stress on your baby, and so you really can't do anything. And then even, she asked, like, can I ride the bull? She's like, no, you cannot do anything.
You can't ride anything. Airplanes.
Yeah, Laura
Men.
Dern.
Yeah.
Shout out to her who
That
was.
She was
such
awesome.
a funny interaction.
What did she say at the beginning? She was like, you fat, much age. So, and Mindy's like, okay.
She's like, you provide a big mansion for the baby.
I'm gonna say the same thing. I love it. But it's basically the baby, like, bad things can happen when you have preeclampsia. But that's when women get on bed rest. So that's why she couldn't go. Therefore, Dr. Reed steps in and is the best man.
When they can diagnose that, is that usually towards the end of the pregnancy, or can it be throughout any
I don't
time?
know. I think it can be throughout any time. Okay. I'm not sure though.
Yeah,
I guess I
really
should
want to
know
know.
As a woman, I should probably know that, but
I'm like, to my knowledge, you're not a doctor, so I don't think you need to know it.
Oh yeah. Wait, when did that happen tonight? Someone said that, right?
What? No, I
Never
was just
mind. I'm
saying
thinking
that
of
to
something
you.
I was like, did I miss something?
So we see a really beautiful wedding, which might very well be a goodbye to Adam Pauly. I hope not.
I think so, though.
No. Okay.
You
If
don't
he's off
think?
the show, I think it would make sense, though, that this is like
They tied it up.
Tied it up.
Bring them, 2 episodes next?
Actually,
Maybe.
I think we might see him.
You think so?
What in the hell is his place in the show anymore?
I think we might see him literally like twice.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Like very special guest appearance, maybe birth of baby type stuff.
Well, sorry to cut you off really quick, but
Yeah.
like I was thinking like they dropped a couple random little Easter eggs throughout the episode, basically making it to be a way that Peter and Laura don't work out and he comes back. I felt like they did. Like the prenup thing, there was something else that he said where you could just kind of tell. I mean, she's never been that, Lauren has never been that into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just wonder who's gonna take. So like, obviously his relationship with Mindy is so different from the other characters. Like that's who she confides in. So who's gonna take that position in the office or even around in her life during this time? Like that was the person that she said that her parents didn't know that Danny existed.
Right.
So that's the only reason I'm like, maybe they'll, or they're just gonna write in a similar or have another character transition into that place, I guess.
Yeah, she definitely needs that best
Person,
friend support person, whoever it's gonna be.
And we were talking about it, like we didn't really get a great new female character. We got a couple random like splices of potential new female friends for Mindy, but didn't really work out in the end. So hopefully next season. Let's go to the end of the episode where we get a little post-it from Vinny that says he's on his way to Austin, which April and I thought read
Austria.
I was like, why is he
Why
going to
would he be going there?
Austria? That's so weird. So he's going to. He says he's going to Austin, but really he's on a plane to India to meet Mindy's parents.
Figured that was happening.
Well,
Get
I
shaved
thought-
in the bathroom.
I thought it was gonna end in a proposal. I was like shaking Sterling's arm. I'm like, oh my god, he's going to get the ring. And then I was like, oh, he's going for
Yeah.
like to ask for her hand in marriage. But just the fact that he's going, I mean, holy heck. And he's not even telling her, so he's doing it as a surprise.
Getting a blessing.
So my question is this: Are we assuming that he's going to the door to ask for their permission, or is he just going to the door to be like, I am Danny, here I am, meet the, or he's going to ask for permission?
I feel like
go
he's
back and
asking.
forth.
I feel like he's asking for permission.
That's what I originally thought, but then I was like, maybe he's just because nothing.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Maybe he's gonna meet him first.
Yeah.
Also, since the whole, like when it's so, like when you were like he may propose, I was like, if he does, it will still feel like, okay, yes, so you didn't want to, then you had a
Right.
conversation, now you do, like.
Then
Feels a
your
little
mom-
like, don't force it. Like I don't want you to just do it out of anything. So I thought it was cool of them to not mention it all, because next season we'll be ready for it again in like a nice way.
The reason why I thought that is because of something that Annette said to him. I forget what she said, but basically it was like, don't let. It was a really good piece of advice. But she
It was just
like,
that
don't let the past.
they chose the people to marry that didn't deserve it. And then, but she was saying that Mindy is deserving. Of a
I wanted her to say it though. I wanted her to be like, I love Mindy. I just wanted like
she basically did, especially when he was like, don't be mad at Mindy, it's not her fault. She's like, I'm mad at you. Like what?
Yeah.
I'm mad at your father.
Yeah, for making
she could never be mad at Danny.
No, of course not.
Never. So, you know, we end with someone, because I honestly don't really think it's necessarily her parents. I really hope he spoke to Rishi and, like, you know, got everything down, like where to go.
Got the details.
Yeah, instead of just, like, showing up in India. Because, like, you need some deets.
Seems like a difficult task.
When you go to India to find someone. So, you know, I'm assuming he had something specific. There's something telling me that he's not at the right place and some old, like, man's going to open the door and be like, get out of my house. And he'll be like, I don't know.
I feel like that would be like such a weird thing to come back to in season 4, though. Like it's being like a random person at the door.
If it was like if they were going to finish it, I think it would have been like funny, I guess, in this episode. But I think for next season, most of us will kind of forget about the humor of that and just I think we're ready to see the parents. Or will we ever see the parents, or do you think it's going to be that type of thing where they're always shooting around and like
Home Improvement?
Yes.
What's his face?
Is it going to be? I hope not.
I hope not.
I would like start the season with that. Like I want them to pick up off that scene.
Yeah. Well, on that note, let's get into predictions for next season.
Yes. First,
Now, your AFTERBUZZ TV.
I want to read to y'all. So I was looking at an article, or it's an interview in Variety that Ike and Mindy did. Someone else go. I thought it was pulled up, but it's not. So I'm gonna get that up for you.
Were you guys surprised? So I was driving here. I was like, "Is there gonna be a baby tonight?" And I wanted to Google because I knew the East Coast had already seen. I'm like, should I Google and see if there was a baby? I didn't, but obviously there wasn't.
No baby.
But I was fine with it. I was like the ending. I really loved the whole way they did it. I loved it.
I want to tune in next season. Like
Me too.
Obviously we do, but you know, I feel like if I was just seeing it as a fan, normal, I would want to see what happens. But I feel like marriage is definitely, or a proposal is the next step. I think Danny's ready now.
Well, I guess usually first there's a proposal, then a baby, but you know.
Then comes the baby and the baby.
Perfect segue right there, because this is actually this one of the questions that they asked basically is saying like, why did you decide to go this route with the pregnancy and everything? And she says, I didn't want to invent some reason. So they're talking about the whole thing and just her and Danny's relationship and where it's gone and how like you approach it from a writing perspective. And she says, I didn't want to invent some reason for them to break up, and I like this specific kind of challenge because I felt like other people would think it's too early. It's not too early. This is about right. I also just thought it was funny that 2 OBGYNs would have an unplanned pregnancy together. And she goes on to talk about how in too many American sitcoms nowadays, it is very like, these are the steps, this is what happened. And she just, Ike says that Mindy, as a writer, likes to really accelerate things and likes to kind of just throw things up in the air and see where they land. He said that in season 2, they didn't even know if they would put Danny and Mindy together forever, like belonging together for sure, that they've gone back and forth with it. And that's kind of how it goes as a show. So basically, our predictions mean nothing.
Good. Okay. So they don't even know.
Thank you.
On that note, we're going to wrap it up.
Awesome. Time to get on out of here then, I guess.
All right. Do you have any predictions on that note, April?
Yes. So I keep going back and forth if he's going to ask for the blessing or if he is going to just be like, hi, I just want to introduce myself, because now he realizes that this is so important to Mindy. At this very moment, I think he's going just because she said, I do this for you. This is so important, and I've done this. Like, why can't you do the same for me? So I think it could be him just going there to say, like, no, I don't necessarily want this right now, and maybe not. Let's have the conversation about it. Yeah. But I want you to know that I'm in this, that you are very important to me. Look at what I would do for you. That's what I'm on right now. Probably in 2 minutes, I'll be like, no, he's asking for a blessing.
I feel like it left us with like Mindy, because she writes that email that's very nice towards Danny, and she's like, I think he'll be the best father for this baby, blah, blah, blah. But then she doesn't send it, she just saves it. So it's like her deciding, is this someone with these commitment issues that I want to be with?
Oh, I didn't even take it like that.
Like when she just saved it instead of sent it, it was kind of like, she needs to decide if this is...
If those words are what she believes.
And I think that if he is going to get the blessing and he's like actually making some progress here, then that would be a sign for her that, you know, we can make this work. But I feel like it's just a constant battle with her trying to get him to commit.
Yeah. I think that if it does turn out to where he's going to ask for the blessing, that they're going to turn it around and Mindy is going to have moved out of the apartment whenever he gets back, because it's going to be a thing like, oh, this is where we ended, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, she doesn't know that he's going to India, but it's going to be a thing. Like, whenever she was writing or reading the email, I was waiting for the but. Like, he's going to be the greatest father, but we're just not going to be together, la, 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 la.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Didn't know.
No, that's actually the one thing I'm really scared about, because okay, she's pregnant. They got together. They're in a relationship. They may be getting married, and it's like a lot of these things in the sitcom are spread out throughout like a lot of seasons, and we're seeing all this happen to her right now, which makes me worry from a writing standpoint. What else is there to like?
Like, how do you start to slow it down?
How do you slow it down? Does it mean that like? It's probably going to mean they're going to have major differences. There's going to be a bump in the road, which I don't like watching. After every episode I've seen when they're not together or they're fighting, hate it as a viewer. That's the end of my prediction. I don't have anything to say except don't do that.
She says in the article that she doesn't like to do that as a writer. Good. She doesn't like to do it just because that's what like happens in shows. It's the same thing with 30 Rock with Tina Fey and Alec Baldwin. They were always like, or people were like, oh my gosh, they need to be together, and they're like, no, we don't want to do the easy thing. And the easy thing for a show to do like this is to have a couple establish that they're together and everyone wants them to be together, and then make them break up, and then they get back together and blah, 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 blah. And she doesn't want it to be that easy. She doesn't want to take the easy way out. So maybe we won't be as disappointed, or maybe we'll just be crazy sad for a really long time and they'll just break up and it'll be bad. I don't know.
Well, and we don't even know. I mean, we know in our hearts and our guts that this series is going to be picked up for another season, but it has not been yet.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. We will see. My predictions are when it does get picked up for a 4th season, which is crazy. You know, she's obviously going to have the baby. I think her and Danny are not going to like be together at first, and that he's going to kind of have to work her way in. We're going to meet the parents, and they're going to be hilarious and crazy. I can't wait to see about casting news for that, just because I know like it's going to be probably pretty epic.
Oh yeah.
I hope so. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for tuning in this season.
Yes.
We have had the best time. We hope that you guys have as well watching us. April, where can we find you on the internet?
Y'all can find me on Twitter and Instagram at April Whisenhant.
And you can find me at Sterling Cates.
And you can find me at Nicholas Grava.
And you can find AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the works. You can find me, Sam Davidson, at samdavidsonentertainment.com, and on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. We'll see you next season, guys.
Miss you, Mindy.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.